or not less than 2,000 projects. Now, how is this possible given the paucity of funds this past years?
Do you know anything about Governor Godwin Obaseki?
Well, I think I do.
I like to throw the question back to you every time. It's my style, don't mind me. So if you know where he's coming from, you know how easy it is for him to make a kobo stretch to thousands and thousands of naira. So it is not even 2,000. We have more than 3,000 projects. So if you go to our website on the Program Management Office, Edo State Government, you will see projects classified according to local governments in serial number. Okay. Yeah? So that's our database of projects. And we also actually have an app that you can easily download on Google's Play Store. Okay. The EPMO app. So you would see there. You can go in there, click on any project. It will bring you to the exact location within the state where you find that project. And in across the 18 local government areas of Edo State, we have covered more than 3,000 projects. Yeah. Verifiable. So this is not, what's that term they use again, the audio. These are not audio. But we're just a quiet, modest government. Okay. I think that's what people are trying to come around to. It's not possible to have, I think this is unprecedented, to have a government who has done so well and we just decided to be quiet about it. So many times I've had that same question. How is it possible that you say you've done so amount of projects? How is that possible in these times when some states are going into bankruptcy? I mean, I don't mean to, I think we can be a bit, you know, we can drop some of our modesty right now and talk about some things the way they really are. It's about knowing what is important. It's about prioritizing. It's about knowing when you are being wasteful. Our problem in Nigeria is not because we don't have the resources. Our problem in Nigeria is the wastage of resources. So for example, my governor will go around and not have more than maybe 2 people in his convoy. I don't think it happens in many states in Nigeria. So that was one of the first remarkable things. And I would say very openly now that was one of the things that endeared me to the administration. Not running all around the place with thousands and thousands of cars. Think about it. How many cars, how much resources goes into that? How many people you put on the road, how much resources goes into that? So if we can sort of cut costs, I'm an economist by, you know, no. yeah, you know, if we can sort of cut costs and look at our scale of preference and then prioritize on the things that we do really need, there will be savings. That's what we've done so effectively. He also comes from that sort of background. That's what we've done so effectively as a state government. Where you have to put 5 cars on the road, put 2. There's a saving from that. Where you have to send 10 people to go for one thing, why don't you bring that one person to come and train the 10 people here? Yeah. There will be savings. So that's what we've done in everything, that whether to do with human resource management or in the way we manage our own, you know, natural or other forms of resources at our disposal. We always have to think deeply about where we draw the line between effective and efficient operations.
How were you able to manage the resistance?
The buck stops at the desk of the governor. So if the governor tells you he does not want 10 people in his convoy, you have work to do in your office. Are you going to say, no, I don't, I want to go with you? So there's a bit of, and again, I'll tell you something. We are very quick to reference Rwanda when we talk. and all the achievements of Rwanda. Yeah. There's a bit of leadership where there's a part of leadership where it stops being about a dialogue, where it then becomes directives. Knowing how to make the perfect mix makes a lot of difference.
To get the desired result.
To get the desired result. So, okay, I'm going here, I don't need 10 people, I need 4 people. Yeah. Because there's always work to do. There's always work to do. We're always working. And if you can cut down the cost of that extra that you don't really need, why not? So that's how we've been able to stretch our naira as a state government. We cut down a lot of waste, even in the face of the COVID-19 response. So, I mean, we're not the richest state. That's true. But look at what we did with what we had. Look at what we did, and we went up to being the top 3 states in the country with our response to COVID-19. I don't even want to drill down further into the way that was. It's about looking at what is important. Sometimes people create urgency. Not everything. You need to learn to prioritize. That's what we've done effectively as a state, and I think that that's one of our main success stories. Managing our resources efficiently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, can you disaggregate these projects along the lines of the different senatorial districts? Why? Because some may claim that the governor concentrates his efforts in just Benin City alone.
Nah, no way. The first place the governor started to even drive main projects was in Edo North. Yeah. So we saw the Okpela axis. We saw investments coming into the Owan axis. Sobe, our agri projects were based in Edo North.
Was it because you're from Edo North?
Well, I like that. I'm a proud Owan girl, but that's not why. Okay. That's knowing what, you know, this government is a bottom-up government. So we meet with the community, yeah. And then the community decides what they need. This is the first government, again, I think in a very revolutionary way, that has driven governance from bottom by setting up, not just, you know, paying lip service to it. This is the first government where you have a ward development committee in every ward of the Edo State, where you have 15-member committee cut across non-partisan lines, non-religious lines, no affiliations. You have representatives from the party in power, the opposition. You have the traditional institution, religious institution, retired service members, youth, women, all in that committee. So whatever we do in any community, we meet with them. They decide, and we take it back. And that's how we deploy resources. So whether or not it was in Edo North or South or Central was based on what the urgent needs were. So we have lands, we have mass expanse of land in that area. If we cite something there, there will be more benefit from it to the state, the entire state. Or for example, you say that now the people have criticized, why is the Osiomo power plant, why is it situated in Edo South? Why are they taking it from that region and bringing to Edo? We drilled down and we have large deposits of gas coming from that axis. Yes. Edo actually has, I think, perhaps the highest gas deposits in the whole of the country. That's what we are utilizing. That's our power is driven from there. It's gas driven. So that's why you have Oshomo, the power coming from that region of the state and coming into the Sapele Road region, because we are setting up a whole corridor of activities there, where we have the government offices, we have the production center, a lot of manufacturing, small scale and medium manufacturing businesses are there right now. That power is going to power that whole axis. So it's not about the region. It's not about whether the governor has even often boasted to people that he also comes from Owan. he comes from Benin. I come from the 3 senatorial districts. I could lay claims to them, yes. I'm all one by ancestral, lines. My mother is from Edo Central. My mother is from Ekpoma in Edo Central. So I was nurtured by the Asans. You know what it is for an Edo girl. There's always that strong affinity to your mother's people. So I could lay claims to Asan, Edo Central. And then my grandmother who raised my father is a proud Benin princess. So then I have the affiliation to the Beninese as well. So where do I sway to? If I were to, reallocate resources, who would I favor? Is it my mother's people, or is it my father? Or is it where I actually come from? So it's beyond regions or no. We didn't do that at all. It was always driven by the people. And there are projects across every local government in Edo State, not less than 200 projects in every local government. I don't think there's a ward in Edo State that has not benefited from the administration's direction in, resource allocation across the state. Every ward has a project. You can go there, it's verifiable. You go to the project management website, it's all there for you to see. There are photos of some. Okay. Yeah.
Now, your office is charged with managing the public safety.
Office is involved in managing that, but the brain, that was the baby of the office of the Secretary to the State Government. I like to give credit to who credit is due. That was his baby. Together with the governor, they sat down and thought, oh, we have to have this sort of civil group who's not, we were not looking for a very military system, if you like. We wanted a group that could relate with the people on a friendly note, but also manage to steer them in the right direction. That was exactly the reasoning behind the public safety works volunteers, as we have them in the state, what you like to refer to as the POWOV or the POSWOV now.
Yeah.
I'm very proud of the work that we have done there. When we talked about, one of the fears we had as an administration was getting Togri off our streets. So the very first move by the government to say we're going to rid the streets of, let me use the more, street language for that, agberoism of our streets. Yeah, let's move agberoism off our streets. But when you take them off the streets, where do you take them? Where do you move them to? So you cannot tell people to stop something and not have an alternative for them. So we encourage our people to go back to the classroom, go back to various trades, pick up something, learn something, learn a new skill so that you can apply it elsewhere. So when we started off the POWOV, for example, it was to deal with some who would feel left out, who were not quite as educated or as qualified to take up roles in the new Edo as it was unfolding before them. That was the driving force behind that. But what we then realized was that not only were we getting people with living set, we were getting first degree holders, master's holders, and even those who were currently undergoing doctorates came up to apply to be taken into the POWOV. And why was that? If you look at the streets now, yes, we cannot boast of having 100% qualified and educated people. No economy has that around the world, but everyone has a place. So whether you come in with a living set, a school set, whether you come in with a school set or you come in with a first degree or a master's degree, there was a place for you there. So we started off taking them off the streets. The training was both, classroom training in different disciplines, leadership and, all the other areas, management. and also some sort of paramilitary training. So that involved bringing in the police force, the army, the civil defense, the mobile police force, which is a special squad. All of them came in to train our POWOV. And each of them went through a 2-week training process, both classroom training and on the field training, to get to where they are now. Yeah. So when I look at them now and see the journey, some of them there was no confidence, and see the journey and what they have turned out to be. It makes me as a person proud, and I can imagine that the governor is even prouder of what he's doing with our Edo youth. The last 2,000 that were trained in the early part of this year, when we started our training, we didn't know we were setting a stage for a new thing. You know, after the training and the sort of attention it got from the federal, Edo State framework was adopted as the framework for community policing in the state, in the whole of the country. As I speak to you now, I came in a little late. Why did I? They're actually enlisting them into the special constabulary of the Nigerian police force. Some of our POWOV. So that's just to tell you how this journey can, you know, sometimes, even though tough, but very rewarding. We're very, you know, happy with what work we've done with them. Some of them have gone back and acquired new skills. Some of them are working in our tax offices across the state. Even with the COVID response, they came out again. These are young men who want to be, young men and women who want to be, you know, in a positive part of what is happening in Edo. And they're out there. We're very proud of them. We've done so much work with them. Something that is what the average Edo should be proud of. When you can take something that you thought all hope was lost and then you turn them around, there's nothing more rewarding.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short break now. We'll come back. We are going to be talking about project monitoring to ensure that the contractors met the standards. Stay with us.
Where we are presently now is the Oshomo power plant. The power plant will generate about 55 megawatts. As you can see there, buildings with chimney channels on their heads. Generators have 99 generators or engines each. Right immediately in our front here, that is the gas plant. The generator will be operated using gas. By my left here, this is the valve pit, where the gas is being connected to the NNPC gas pipeline. The NEMSA, that is Nigeria Electricity Management Safety Agencies, they are presently on ground now to certify the power plants and the poles. They are the final authority to give the go-ahead. The transformation will be massive, both small scale, medium scale, even large scale industries. They will now have easy raw materials, which is power. We are expecting nothing less than 250 qualified engineers, and some of them are already on the ground. We have people from Benin, we have people even from the Olobo community. The engineers, some of them are from Benin, some of them also are from other states. But majority of them are from Edo State. So you can see that it is a very massive and important project in the economy of the state.
Oduwa-Malaka is still with us in the studio. Now, madam, some say that the POWOV is to constitute the vigilante and community intelligence gathering wing of the government. Is this true? If so, what does their role cover?
Intelligence gathering. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. It's okay if we have intelligence that helps us deliver positive results, don't you think? So if the POWOV is out there and telling us, oh, there are a few bus drivers erring on this side, isn't that part of intelligence that we're getting that will help us work well? I think that what they've done so far, people, I mean, maybe if I tell you a bit more about the POWOV, for example, there was, I mean, not too long ago, we started to see incidents of thugs, people who should be proud Edo children and youth, set our markets on ablaze. Things like that, you would think that in this time, in this stage of development, you wouldn't see people who still go about and deliberately interrupt people's means of livelihood because of selfish reasons. So that's one of the things that the POWOV was set up to do. They got civil training. So they are interested in the safety of the ordinary Edo person and their properties out there. Not through violence. We never preach violence. Our governor always says he's not a violent person. We are not violent. We're educated. You know what education does to you? It helps you see things from a whole different perspective. It opens up various dimensions for you. So where you would want to go towards violence, you sit at a table and you dialogue. That's what we do. So when we ask our POWOV, I mean, it's a volunteer scheme. When we ask them, stay around Oduwa-Malaka, for example, make sure that people are not littering the place. Make sure that our mothers who go out to trade are not being battered and treated unfairly because somebody is trying to be exploitative. And then they come back and tell us, today they reported so case around there. Then we'll now think, okay, if it's getting out of hands, we may need to deploy some extra security. POWOV presence across Edo State is purely on a volunteer basis. So when they go out there and say, okay, we're around Oduwa-Malaka or we're around New Benin Market, that we're having some sort of antisocial behavior, they don't actually go out to try to stop the people or try to become aggressive. No, they will call for backup. So it's a very civil operation.
So there has been no incidents of harassment.
We're heading somewhere. We're not there yet. So reform happens in different stages. We are not at the perfect stage. Yes, there have been cases of one or two misbehavior there and then, but the message is clear. When you are caught as a POWOV staff engaging in antisocial behavior, you're immediately called up. Some have been dismissed by that, through that. You get a warning the first time, the second time, you're not going to get a third warning. So yes, there is, oh yeah, absolutely. I told you, I said this is a process government. Even in the POWOV, there is that process. They have a whole chain of reporting lines. So when if a POWOV, if a volunteer is caught, doing something otherwise, they're immediately called up and there's disciplinary action. We've had a few cases that weren't so pleasant, which is why I say we are heading somewhere. We are not there yet, but I think we have done well.
Now, let's talk about project monitoring.
Yes.
What mechanism is in place for projects monitoring in government to ensure that standards are met by these contractors across the state, and how does your office interface with them? Okay.
So for every project, at the beginning of every project, there is a start time and a finish time. So every project is based on your scope, your budget, and your timelines. So at the beginning of any engagement with any contractor, no matter how small that project is, there are set guidelines, there are objectives established. People like to say that the governor is MOU governor, but I think I corrected some the last time by telling them that if we could get more MOU governors with this rate of development we're seeing in Edo State, then I'm certainly for MOUs. Because people don't understand that at the beginning of any contract, you must set the terms down, you must agree to certain terms. And if you don't meet them, you can pull out. There's a time frame. So when contractors come to Edo State, before they even go into our fields or anything, they submit we enter into an MOU is a memorandum of understanding. So you tell me what your objectives are. And then I tell you, you ask me what you will need to achieve them. And I look at my own resources and I say, okay, I have this available. We can do this, but this is how we must do it to get the benefit. So when you come in here and you say you want to carry out, you give us a proposal for a project, for example, we definitely will look at your scope. What you said you're going to do, what you say you're going to deliver, the timelines you have drawn up for that, yeah? Your milestones, we look at all of that. We also look at our resource as a government. Whether we're providing the enabling environment for you or we're putting in some cash into it. If it has to do with cash, we have to look at the various call times. So all of this is set at the beginning of our engagement. So that when you come in here, when all this planning has happened, and you come in and you need to implement, we are sure that we have the resources and you have the required skills and capacity to deliver. So the program management office has the set of, we have our checklists. And it's a monitoring and evaluation setup that we deploy. So at different stages of your project, we are monitoring from when we engage. You set timelines. If you say you're going to bring in a proposal so time, and this is what we must have, maybe we need to call up a million thousand naira, for example, a million thousand naira, or whatever it is you want to bring up. We need to make sure that as a government, we have that to take off. If you don't have it, it won't take off. So those are the various things, checks that you must do. You need to monitor properly the standards.
Across the state.
Across the state. What most people don't know is that every local government actually has a monitoring and evaluation department. All centralized here in Benin as well. So we are constantly relating. So when a contractor comes into Edo State, I have my monitoring and evaluation, the M&E team, who also looks at what you have stated in your proposal. And then we ensure, if you say you are going to do this within the next 2 weeks, we are monitoring to see that along that line, you don't default.
What if the officer in charge compromises at the end of the day?
Oh, that's where you have the digital thing. So there are various red flags. If, for example, you set a timeline for 2 weeks, on my dashboard, I will see that it's going into the orange, amber, or it's going into red. So it's color coded. So if there's a complete success, it's green. If there are some worries or concerns, it goes amber, orange color.
That is for the timeline.
Yes.
What about the quality?
The quality is also captured. So there are various ways. We have quality assurance officers as well that go through. They are actually at the local government levels as well. And every project team has both the external and internal processes in place. So whether you're auditing or whatever, you have both the internal and the external. That helps to ensure that the standards are met as well. You have the standard, quality assurance officers. So if I'm sending you to look at a project, for example, I'll give you an example of the Edo Health Improvement Program. Yeah. When we're building the Edo HIP, yeah. When we're building the primary healthcare centers across the state, there was a team set up to make sure, I mean, there were certain, standards that every public primary healthcare center had to meet. We have to have running water. You have to have solar-powered buildings, and then you have to have the right resource, human resource there, and the right technology. So all of that form part of your checklist. So when the team goes out to check, they are ticking whether or not those things have been, whether they have met their targets. They're trained to do that. So they will know, for example, if you say you're building, it's just the way with road constructions. When you say you want to do something to grade A and you go and do a grade B, there are certain measures in place to check. The civil engineer comes in, does his check. It's the same process. Whether you're running a program or a project, is the same.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, so what 3 projects would you say are sufficient to convince Edo people to re-elect the governor for a second time in office?
Okay. So maybe briefly. There are some projects that were intangibles, those that you cannot see. When I talked about the reforms in the financial space, the reforms in the civil space, the reforms in the judicial space within the state. Yeah. If you look at the way our court systems are currently being run, that should be one of the, if there's no security within a state, there's no state. So when you have members of the judiciary that are not happy in their workspaces, you're not going to have efficient workers. So there's been a whole load of reforms in that area that are not tangible. People can't see it or touch it, but you can feel it within your environment. The crime rate, for example, has dropped significantly in Edo State. And this is not, it's not something you're going to be able to say is a road that you will see, but these things are there. There are statistics to prove. For example, our unemployment rate dropped.
Yeah, we saw that.
That is a whole load of investment into job creation. The economic revolution pillar had to do with job creation, ease of doing business. The way you come in here and conduct your business has changed a lot in Edo State. That is one area that I always would sing first if you ask me. All our reforms, our institutional reforms, they were all like, land-breaking reforms. Massive, massive. Our education. And I think a lot of people have heard about the Edo Best and all of that. So without the risk of, stating the obvious, our educational reforms, the Edo Best, where we see bigger states and countries coming to understudy Edo State, that is significant. I don't want to talk about the infrastructure. Is it the number? I was compiling a list of. I was compiling a list of roads that have been constructed across the length and breadth of Edo. That is huge. The health improvement program, significant. That's enough to even convince anyone. What we've done in healthcare, Edo is going to be the health destination for the country.
Thank you very much.
How good can it get?
All right, we'll take our last break now. We'll come back. We'll go to our page to take 1 or 2 comments. Stay with us.
Thank you.
I have not worked in Edo Best all my life. I actually came into the public service October 2017 when I saw an advert in the newspaper. I applied as a co-curricular officer, and I came in, I wrote the computer-based exam. I scored 75%. That earned me the job after the oral interview. And after the Edo Best training in April, I did an internal reapplication to become a learning and development officer because I love teaching. I have passion for teaching because I've taught for 17 years. And after applying for the learning and development officer's position, I joined other persons who applied to write the exam. I had a very high score of 83%. 75% was the cutoff mark. That automatically earned me the position of the Learning and Development Officer's coordinator. So I had to coordinate every other person in the field. All the Learning and Development Officers, 85 of them in the 18 local government area in Edo State. They go into the schools every day to ensure that the teachers are on task, because we found out that the 2 weeks training that each teacher got is not enough to internalize what they have learned. So what we have to do is to ensure that we go every day to observe the teacher and keep giving them feedback to help them improve on the training that they got so that they can be better in their profession and enhance their skills. My name is Folashade Helen Franklin Osakwe. Presently, I'm the academic coordinator, Edo State Universal Basic Education Board, SUBED.
You're welcome back. Now, Oduwa-Malaka, PhD. So let's go to our page to see what our viewers are saying. Okay. No questions so far.
Well.
So I may just read out a comment or two. This one is coming from Abiodun Borokini. Said, please, we are watching from Berlin.
Wow.
We are not stakeholders, but we say no to godfatherism. That's why they did, I'm reading it the way the person wrote it. So that's why they did in Lagos for Ambode, and they want to do it for Obaseki. Please, my good people of Edo, vote wisely and vote Obaseki and PDP. Say no to godfatherism and make Edo great again. May God bless Edo people. Amen. That's nice. Yes, I have just read that. Yeah. Okay. This one is coming from Bishop Payne. It says, a very vibrant fellow making comprehension seamlessly easy. No wonder the governor is making groundbreaking progress in his administration when he's having great minds like these around him. That is for you.
Thank you.
To you.
Thank you, Bishop.
All right, so we have come to the end of this morning session. And would like to say a big thank you to Dr. Oduwa-Malaka, the Special Advisor to the Governor on Strategic Planning and Program Management, and of course the Chairman, Program Management Office. Thank you so very much for taking out time out of your very busy schedule to be with us on this program.
Thank you so much, Habiba. Such an honor to be here.
Thank you.
The pleasure is mine.
She talked about planning, monitoring, and of course evaluating the projects. A whole lot goes on in her office, so much so that, you know, it brought something to my mind. You know, I schooled in Kaduna too. I went to Command Secondary School, Kaduna.
Oh, wow.
And my elder sister used to have this frame that had, I think, an eagle that was flying into the sun. It was in her sitting room then. And what was written there was, said, the secret of life is to know who you are and where you are going. Yeah. My name is Habiba Oyege Oyarekwa. Good afternoon.
No man is God, Obaseki, your governor, forward ever, backward never, let's go further together, Godwin Obaseki, Obaseki, he's the right candidate for Edo. +4 equals to continuity. Obaseki stadium renovation. Even we hit the door best. Plenty achievement for your time, oh. Our life we done better, eh. Obaseki and Shaibu, now them be the winning team. God win Obaseki.